his wounds treated, Bhishma arrived at the battlefield at sunrise, standing resolute. Parashurama, more impressed by his courage and self-confidence than anything else, once again blessed Bhishma before the battle began. Despite using arrows, spears, and swords, Bhishma's attacks had no effect on Parashurama, who shattered them mid-air with his own arrows. His arrows, though, struck Parashurama's body like stones hitting a mountain, causing them to break upon impact. This filled Bhishma with increasing despair, weakening his hopes of victory with each passing moment. Parashurama's relentless attacks wounded Bhishma, but he continued to fight, pulling out the arrows embedded in his body and pressing on. Blood flowed continuously from his wounds. Despite the relentless assault, Bhishma, collapsing and rising again, refused to give up. Each time he fell, disappointing Amba and Parashurama's disciples, who thought he would not rise again. Bhishma stood back up and continued his attack. When all his efforts seemed in vain and defeat appeared certain, a despondent Bhishma made a final attempt. He began to employ the divine weapons that Parashurama himself had taught him, hoping to turn the tide of the battle. When Bhishma deployed the Agnyastra, it unleashed a torrent of flames upon Parashurama. The intense firepower seemed to engulf Parashurama, causing his disciples and Amba to panic in fear and anxiety. They couldn't discern what was happening to Parashurama amidst the blazing inferno. After a while, when the flames subsided, everyone, including Bhishma, looked on with trepidation and curiosity. To their astonishment, Parashurama emerged unscathed, even his hair and garments untouched by the fire. Those watching could hardly believe their eyes, but flames of fury burned brightly in Parashurama's eyes. Immediately, Parashurama countered with the Vayuvastra. Bhishma responded by invoking the Guhyak Astra, the powerful wind capable of uprooting even massive trees, was redirected by the Guhyak Astra, which absorbed the force of the wind and neutralized it. Immediately, Parashurama launched the Nishitastra, releasing poisonous gases that caused Bhishma and his supporters to lose consciousness. As the sun began to set, it seemed that Parashurama would claim victory if Bhishma did not rise before the sun disappeared. But driven by his indomitable willpower, Bhishma rised up and stood still. Though his body was riddled with arrows and weakened by the poisonous gases, Bhishma's resolve remained unbroken. Amba, unable to witness Bhishma's defeat despite Parashurama's relentless assault, felt a deep sense of dissatisfaction. Parashurama, on the other hand, was impressed by his disciples' unwavering determination. Noticing this, Amba urgently reminded Parashurama that Bhishma no longer had the strength to continue and urged him to seize the moment to strike him down. Reluctantly, adhering to the ethics of warfare, Parashurama raised his axe to strike Bhishma, but he refrained as his disciples reminded him that the sun had already set. Disappointed, Amba saw that Bhishma had survived the day due to the mercy of the setting sun, but she consoled herself with the thought that his death was inevitable. The battle entered its third day, and with each passing day, Bhishma felt his strength and confidence waning. Parashurama stood firm amidst the chaos of the battlefield, like an unyielding mighty mammoth, effortlessly countering Bhishma's valiant assaults. Amidst the turmoil, Amba shouted accusations of Bhishma's past misdeeds, reminding him of the souls of the brave warriors he had ruthlessly slain in his arrogance, branding all his actions as unrighteous. Her cruel taunts further undermined Bhishma's self-confidence. Hearing Amba's words, Bhishma's mind wavered. He was deeply distressed, questioning if this was the ultimate outcome for someone who had dedicated his entire life to the protection of Dharma. Doubts clouded his mind. Despite 5 long days of relentless fighting, Bhishma had not been able to gain the upper hand against Parashurama. Every weapon Bhishma deployed was effortlessly neutralized by Parashurama. Each attempt to injure Parashurama ended in disappointment for Bhishma. Throughout his life, he had fought many battles and duels, but never had he faced an opponent as formidable as Parashurama. With an unwavering resolve to uphold the Dharma he believed in and to maintain the honor of his existence, Bhishma fought tirelessly. His body was severely wounded. Each day he fought relentlessly, only to be injured again by Parashurama's arrows. Despite enduring immense physical pain, Bhishma refused to entertain the thought of defeat. Every point of excruciating pain he experienced served as a reminder of his unyielding determination. Even though the thought that defeating Parashurama might be impossible grew stronger, Bhishma resolved to continue the battle as long as there was life in his body. His steadfast determination shone against the dark moments of the battle. Parashurama inflicted grievous wounds upon Bhishma. Knowing that each attack was futile, Bhishma never ceased his efforts. Every day, he sustained severe injuries from fighting Parashurama, only to receive treatment afterwards, continuing this cycle for 19 harrowing days of battle. Amba's dissatisfaction reached its peak. With a heavy heart and a mind filled with turmoil, she mustered the courage to respectfully approach Parashurama and voice the doubts that had arisen in her mind. Her voice trembling with emotion, she expressed that the thought that Parashurama was intentionally sparing Bhishma's life due to his affection for him had been gnawing at her mind. She revealed that such a great person, who had single-handedly annihilated millions of kings, need not engage in this futile battle to satisfy her. She accused Parashurama's actions of suggesting betrayal. Parashurama's face darkened with anger at Amba's accusations. He stood up, fury blazing in his eyes like a volcano, questioning how she dared to accuse him of such treachery. Enraged, he advanced towards Amba, intent on beheading her for her audacity. Though trembling internally at his anger, Amba stood firm. She humbly explained that her life was at Parashurama's mercy, and he had every right to end it. Looking at Parashurama, who had stopped himself from killing her, she pointed out that his failure to defeat Bhishma, an arrogant and unrighteous man, for so many days was not due to a lack of strength or valor. Instead, she asserted that this weakness stemmed from his emotions. She suggested that Parashurama's mind had weakened because of his past personal bond with Bhishma. Therefore, she proposed ending this futile attempt, stating that she would seek another righteous protector who harbored no personal grievances to seek justice for her. Her words pierced Parashurama's mind like an arrow. He began to doubt himself, wondering if his affection for Bhishma was indeed the reason he had not been able to kill him all these days. If that was true, then Amba's accusation that he was betraying her was justified. Unable to refute her claims and burdened by his inner turmoil, he promised her that he would assume his most fierce form the following day to prove her accusations wrong. Parashurama unleashed his full might the next day, attacking Bhishma with all the powerful weapons he had taught him. The sudden change in Parashurama's tactics left Bhishma stunned. making it even more difficult for him to defend himself. When Parashurama deployed a special weapon, meteors began to rain down from the sky, aiming for Bhishma. Amba, Parashurama's disciples, and even Bhishma watched in shock and awe. Bhishma quickly rose to the challenge, using his weapons to intercept the meteors and destroy them mid-air, preventing them from hitting him or his troops. Although Bhishma bravely fought against the meteor assault, their overwhelming number soon took its toll on him. One of the meteors, with immense speed, struck Bhishma, causing a resounding crash and rendering him unconscious as he fell to the ground. When Bhishma opened his eyes, the Vasus appeared before him in a divine display, encouraging him and teaching him about the powerful weapon known as the Prashwapannamakastra. They explained that the immense power of Parashurama could only be defeated if Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva took a combined avatar and emerge on earth. This weapon could weaken Parashurama's tremendous energy and render him into a common man for a short period of time, assuring Bhishma that victory was certain because this weapon was connected to Vishwakarma. They instilled confidence in him. With his mother Ganga as his charioteer, Bhishma descended from the skies on a flying chariot back to the battlefield. Upon regaining full consciousness at the dawn of the 21st day, Bhishma recalled everything that had happened. Though he was not sure what happened with Vasus was real or his dream, the memory of the Prashwapannamakastra taught by the Vasus was clear in his mind. He used the Prashwapannamakastra and shot the arrow at Parashurama, watching hopefully, yet doubtfully, to see if it would neutralize Parashurama's powers. The arrow approached within inches of Parashurama, and it disintegrated. Bhishma, who had been waiting with high hopes, was once again filled with despair. Parashurama's disciples and Amba looked at Bhishma and laughed mockingly. Nevertheless, without losing heart, he immediately launched arrows filled with immense power. Amba, disciples, and the sages around them watched in astonishment. A glimmer of hope shone in Bhishma's eyes as his arrows pierced Parashurama's body. Blood flowed from the great avatar of the Vishnu, and waves of shock spread across the battlefield among all who witnessed this unexpected turn-off events. Encouraged by this surprising development, Bhishma continued his attack, not giving Parashurama any time to recover. He summoned all his remaining strength and launched countless arrows. Realizing that Bhishma had used some unknown weapon against him, Parashurama, with intense anger and determination to annihilate Bhishma, began a fierce counterattack using his own powerful weapons and counter-weapons. In his rage, Parashurama unleashed the most destructive weapon, the Brahmastra. Knowing that only another Brahmastra could counter it, Bhishma also invoked the Brahmastra. The intensity of the battle reached its peak as the two mighty Brahmastras hurtled toward each other. All eyes were fixed on the impending clash of these explosive forces. As the Brahmastras were about to collide with immense power, Bhishma and Parashurama both stumbled simultaneously, falling to their knees. Their heads throbbed with intense pain, and an unknown force surged through their minds. When the destructive Brahmastras clashed, the immense impact could push the Earth off its orbit. If it were pushed towards the sun, the temperature would increase drastically within moments, turning everything on Earth to ashes. Conversely, if it were pushed away from the sun, the Earth would quickly transform into a frozen wasteland. Additionally, the energy of the Brahmastras could shatter the Earth into pieces, sending the fragments hurtling towards other planets. potentially causing catastrophic disruptions to the entire solar system. These visions flashed through the minds of Bhishma and Parashurama. Amidst these dire images, the divine form of Lord Shiva appeared before them. Realizing the gravity of the situation, both warriors understood that their immediate duty was to retract the Brahmastras. Bhishma and Parashurama were both caught in a dilemma. Whomever retracted their Brahmastra first would be considered to have accepted defeat, so neither was willing to make the first move. However, Bhishma, with profound respect for his guru, decided to withdraw his Brahmastra and began chanting the retraction mantra. Just moments before he could complete the mantra, Parashurama took decisive action, accepting defeat and retracting his Brahmastra. This action left Amba in shock, and her cries echoed across the battlefield. Parashurama approached Bhishma and explained that while Bhishma had fought to uphold Dharma, he himself had been driven by Amba's anger and a petty desire for revenge. He admitted that he had honored the supremacy of Dharma over personal grudges by accepting defeat. Bhishma, moved by his guru's words, felt great joy that his adherence to Dharma was finally understood by his mentor. In a fit of rage, Amba screamed that while Bhishma might have defeated Parashurama, she herself was not defeated. She declared that no matter how many people considered Bhishma's actions as righteous, in her eyes, they would always be unrighteous. She vowed that she would not find peace until she was the cause of Bhishma's death, and stormed away in anger. Impressed by Bhishma's valor and purity of heart, Parashurama granted him an extraordinary boon, stating that as long as Bhishma held a weapon, no force in the universe could defeat him in battle. This divine gift elevated Bhishma's prowess to an unparalleled level and cemented his dominance on the battlefield permanently.